Hi there, it's Nicole here today with some mixing and matching of dies and stamps to create a scene using some new die delights from Spellbinders as the focal point of my card. I am just in love with these adorable Build a Panda die delights. You can create the panda sitting down, standing up. I kind of wanted mine to appear to be hanging over the fence. And speaking of the fence, the Die Delights Picket fence is also brand new. So these are new products and perfectly sized to create adorable scenes on your cards. Now, the fence and the pandas on their own make a cute scene, but I am a huge fan of trying to mix and match different elements. I grabbed a stamp set from Simon Says Stamp called Cool Panda, and I'm going to use the bamboo image from this stamp set, kind of stamped to appear to be kind of growing up and above the fence. And then I'm going to use greetings from this stamp set that really coordinate and work fantastic with these Die Delights Build a Panda dies. I went ahead and die cut all my elements off camera to save time today. Since there is quite a bit of die cutting, there's all the little pieces to build the pandas, not to mention the fence, and then a couple of grass pieces, and then the embossing. Most of the images here, the fence, elements of the pandas, the bow for the little girl panda's hair, all have embossing details. So you run them through your Spellbinders die cutting machine. I use the Spellbinders Platinum machine, and I cannot say enough fantastic things about it. It is amazing, you guys. I had been looking for a new die cutting machine, and I really thought I wanted to go the electronic route, and I got the Spellbinders Platinum, and I could not love it more. It is a crank machine, so it's not electronic, but it die cuts beautifully. So after you've die cut them, you run them through with the embossing sandwich, and it will emboss the detail on these images. We're going to start with the background. I stamped the bamboo image with a black ink. I don't know what I kind of forgot I was going to be using Zing clean color real brush markers instead of Copics, because this is on some Bristol smooth cardstock. So I stamped it with an ink for Copic coloring. It's not a big deal. It works with the zigs just fine, but I could have used something else. But I stamped the bamboo with a black outline. Then I am stamping my sentiment with a clear ink and then embossing with white embossing powder to do embossed resist. I think if I had it to do over, I would not have done this, and I would just stamp on top of the background once I've inked it. I'm going to tell you why. I did leave all my stamps in my stamp platform. I went back when I was done and I stamped the image, or the greetings rather, again and embossed them with white on top. I felt like they got lost. A lot of times you can do the embossed resist and there's no problem. I think the letters were so fine in this sentiment, it just didn't work. You can see here I applied Salty Ocean Distress ink over the background. I did not mask the bamboo. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm buffing the ink off the embossed area, and it's really hard to read, right? I just really was kind of disappointed with how much it got lost. I decided to kind of persevere, color in my bamboo images. Because this is on Bristol smooth cardstock, which that is the only cardstock I use with the Zig clean color real brush markers, I have found that you can color over, especially if the inking in the background is not too dark. So I saved myself time with not masking. Because Distress inks and Zig clean color real brush markers are water-based, they are going to work this way. So I am simply coloring in my bamboo image. You would never know that there is blue ink underneath that. I did use a fairly light hand because I only wanted a hint of color in the background. I didn't necessarily want it super dark, and it really worked great. Also, I originally die cut my fence from white, and I saved that piece, by the way, so I can use on something else. But I really didn't think it worked well with this card. Couple reasons. There is a lot of white space on this card already, and I think the fence got lost. Second reason is there's a lot of white on the pandas, and I think that the pandas and the fence blended into each other too much. I ended up die cutting the fence from some Lawn Fawn paper bag cardstock, and I like that much better. The fantastic thing about the fence is it's got this great wood grain design when you emboss it, and it's just got so much texture. So I went ahead and adhered one of the pieces of grass to the background. I am going to adhere my fence on top of that, and I'm going to be a little bit careful because there is one element of the pandas that needs to go back behind the fence, so I need to tuck that behind before I press the fence in place really well. I know the bamboo looks like it's kind of hanging out there in outer space, but when I had laid all the elements out, I wanted that bamboo to be sticking up high. I wanted it to have the illusion of being a lot taller than what it actually is, just for kind of spatial design and how it would look best with this card. So even when the fence is added, it's still kind of hanging out there, but once you get the little panda's head in place, it really hides that and it looks great. So I've tucked the panda's body back behind the fence, the panda that's hanging over the edge. This is the standing panda. I'm going to go ahead and add the face, and when you initially start this, it's really hard, I think, to see the panda until you get both colors on there. So here are the little arms. I want him to appear to be hanging over the fence. We'll go ahead and add the second panda sitting down here along the bottom edge. I started and then I realized I probably ought to add my other piece of grass. I very, very slightly offset them so that one is back behind and one is in front. This gives the illusion of a nice grassy landscape, and it's going to provide a fantastic place to tuck the sitting panda on the front of the card, or in front of the fence, I guess I want to say. Now, this panda, the arms are the same for both, but this one has the addition of the little feet that I want to add. I am using glue dots to attach these. If there are any little areas that maybe aren't sticking down as well as you like, you can always add a liquid adhesive as well, or use that instead. I did go back with the Ranger Multi-Matte Medium and kind of add some little dabs of glue just to tuck it or to secure some of those elements a little bit better. There are my two pandas. So cute. You can really start to see it come to life. I'm going to take that Ranger Multi-Matte Medium now and add dabs of glue to the face and start layering on the eyes and the nose. And I'm using a jewel picker to pick up these small little pieces. The quick stick tool would be great as well. Just something that will help you pick up small die cut pieces and put them in place. So I started with the black portions of the face, meaning around the eyes, the nose, and the tops of the ears. And kind of once that's dry, I'm going to go back, add tiny little dabs of glue to the black around the eye, and go back with the white areas that die cut from the original face and layer those on. And look at his little face come to life. They are just so, so cute. I love these pandas. Go ahead and do the same thing for the second panda. I think it's really fun just to watch them come to life. We've got the tips of the ears. Once all of these components are in place, all the little die cut pieces, we've just got the other tip of the ear, and then I've got the little bow for the little girl's hair. We can start adding finishing detail, which is always my favorite part, and which really takes your card to that next level and finishes it off beautifully. I'm just so amazed at how incredible you can create cards with really almost die cuts only. If you've got a bamboo die, that would be amazing as well. You wouldn't even have to do any stamping if you didn't want to. I think it's just so amazing that the assortment of dies that are available these days allow us to create amazing cards with dies. So here is my card. I am going to go ahead and take a pink Copic marker and color in the cheeks on my pandas just to give them a little bit of color. That's R00, and I did use the colorless blender to blend that out to soften the edges of my pink cheeks because I think that they're a little harsh otherwise. And then I'm taking a white pen and adding some little highlight areas, adding detail to the bow. This is one of my favorite things to do. I always think it adds a fantastic finishing touch and really makes your critters come to life, or whatever it might be. So just a few more little pieces or little areas here and there, tips of the nose as well, gives a nice little highlight. And then there are some hearts from the stamp set that I used that the bamboo and greeting came from. And I decided to take my powder tool and add some hearts. I felt like the top of the card needed a little pop of color. And with that red bow in the panda's hair, I decided to stamp some hearts from the stamp set and emboss them with red embossing powder. The hearts really tie into the love feeling of this card and kind of extend that little pop of red throughout the design and finish it off beautifully. So once I have those stamped, I'm going to emboss them with my heat tool. And then just a couple more little things to finish this all off. I will take my white pen then, and I added some little highlights to the bamboo leaves to tie in to the rest of the highlights on my card. And then I'm going to follow the wood grain pattern on the fence with my white pen as well. If you didn't want to do this with the white pen, I really didn't add any inking to my die cuts this time, but the embossed areas on the fence would really accept ink well. So if you wanted to use distress inks or something like that to add detail to your fence, that would look amazing. I'm going to finish with some glossy accents on both noses and let that completely dry. That's going to finish these cute little faces off with a nice glossy little nose. I like to take my adhesive and place it on my card base first. Go ahead and take my panel, line that up, and pop that right in place on a top fold card base. And that is going to finish up this mixing and matching of dies and stamp scene card. Thanks for joining me today for this card featuring Spellbinders dies. The supplies I used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Spellbinders that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.